Hey there, this is Leslie Kolovich, and you're listening to the SUP Radio Show, where we talk everything stand-up paddling. This session is brought to you by Clay Feeder, out there in winter headquarters in Santa Cruz, California. We're going to be talking with him, the StandUp Journal man, who is here to detail the behind-the-scenes stories about the most riveting images from their new winter 2011-2012 issue, now on newsstands at SUP, surf, and kayak shops and bookstores across the country. Clay, how you doing today?
I am happy and completely burned out, Leslie. How are you doing? We're happily burned out. Joyce and I just drove 9.5 days from New Hampshire. The first day it hit 12 degrees. We said, we're out of here. We've been planning this for 4 years. We finally have a winter headquarters here on Depot Hill and in Capitola, California. We drove for almost 10 days straight across this great land of ours, and we are here. And now I know why people in California don't get a lot of work done.
Yeah, I bet. Sounds like you're having a blast out there.
Well, there's been waves almost every day, and we have not had yet a single day of clouds in 3.5 weeks since we got here.
Oh, man, that is like the perfect situation.
It's almost Florida weather, Leslie. I mean, it's been 68 degrees most days, and we're getting to be winds. I told Joyce this morning, we're really getting to be winds. It was 55 degrees yesterday, and we actually thought it was getting a little chilly to go out paddling in the evening.
Oh, so, man. Well, looking at the weather that you guys are having up in the north, you probably made the right decision to pack up the car and head out to winter headquarters in Santa Cruz.
All our family back in New Hampshire and New England are all complaining about it. Actually, Kira and Anna, my daughters, were here for about a week and a half, and we had some great paddling together. Got to go out and see the sea otters, and Kira lost my Boston Red Sox cap wiping out in the surf, but I didn't blame her because she was really going for it. She actually caught her first real wave on a stand-up board, so you can't blame her. She was going for it.
Nice.
In fact, I want to tell you that everybody needs to go to StandUpJournal.com and hit the current issue button, and scroll to the very bottom. We're going to start at the bottom this time in detailing some of the finest photos from this year's photo annual. And the very bottom photo is a photo of the hill that we are now living on. Joyce and I are here all the way through March on Depot Hill in Capitola. We finally, after 4 years of publishing the mag, in fact, next issue is our 5th year of publishing StandUp Journal, believe it or not.
Can you believe how the time is just like zoomed by?
Yeah. I don't know. I cannot. When I told Joyce, I said, we just got the March issue, one advance copy yesterday, and I gave it to her, and I said, this is the 17th issue we've done.
Wow.
And she just said, get out of here. That can't be true. But it is. We just came off the press with our spring issue, which is our 17th issue since starting in 2007.
Nice. And
the one we're talking about today, of course, is the winter photo annual. And if you scroll to the very bottom, that Jarrett McPeak photo of the Surf Tech J. Moriarty race that they hold every year off of Capitola, that's where we paddle every day, Leslie, right outside that kelp bed. There's some surf that comes in there along the opal cliffs of Capitola. And if you paddle further to the southeast, you go down towards New Brighton Beach and Capitola Jetty and all the way down there. It's just a beautiful area. The very first night we got here, it was beautiful and sunny. We went out until dark, and I turned to Joyce, and sea otter and her a mother sea otter and her baby came up to us and were just hanging out with us for 15 minutes. The light was really low, and the sun was shining right in its face, both of their faces. And I just turned to Joyce and said, "Welcome to my world." And I grew up in Santa Cruz, and to be back here is just so special. And I'm so happy to share my Yankee soulmate and paddling partner. She grew up in New England, and now I was able to say to her, "This is my world. Welcome to my world." And
isn't that cool?
There was a sea otter. It was so great.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's a great photo here that you got. Jarrett McPeak, right?
Yep. Jarrett lives up in San Francisco, just a fabulous surfer, windsurfer, stand-up paddler, and videographer, and, of course, photographer. and he was on a boat shooting the annual Surf Tech J race. It's been a long time laydown paddle race, but now it's more popular among stand-up paddlers.
Right.
Candace was out last year for it. The sponsoring shop is Cove Water. Scott Rubel here in Santa Cruz owns the first ever, the first Northern California specific stand-up paddle shops right here in Santa Cruz. And he and I and Glenn hung out together today. Glenn got some photos of Scott for the Santa Cruz feature that we're actually doing right now. In fact, if anybody has photos of Santa Cruz, please send them. We've got till about May 15th to get photos for our Santa Cruz feature.
Nice. Well, that's a great idea. I mean, there's so many beautiful places to take pictures in Santa Cruz. There's quite nothing like it, is there?
Well, there's not. I mean, the kelp beds are awesome.
Yeah.
This is a low tide photo, by the way. High tide, the kelp is nowhere near as prevalent. The town is beautiful. You can paddle right along the cliffs. There's lots of great sea life, seals and sea otters and seagulls, pelicans, you name it. In fact, whenever a pelican squadron goes by, we call it Dubox Pelican Air Force, because Glenn, our associate publisher from Santa Barbara, he tends to carry these guys with him for photo opportunities. So it's great.
That's always awesome. Very cool. Well, let's keep moving through this photo journal. We got some fantastic things. We want to hear the stories about all of these photos. And then we go up to Micronesia. Yes?
Well, I'm going to zip through the rest of these pretty quickly because I really want people to be able to read the actual current issue online here. Mm-hmm. Go out and buy the new issue, subscribe. You'll get the copies in a bulletproof cardboard envelope. Mm-hmm. And it's a coffee table keeper every issue. And I'm going to start with the second from the bottom one, which is our buddy Kohai Shirakawa. He just moved from Japan, his entire family, to right here in Ponape in the Marshall Island, in Micronesia, mm-hmm. and it's in the middle of the Pacific. He has moved his whole life there, and those are the kind of waves he's out paddling in whenever it gets good. Nice
barrel there. I mean, wow.
Incredible.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. And so then we go up here. This one I really, really like is the whitewater race, the Teva Games that Slater Trout, he did his first race down.
Yeah, that's Slater had never been on the river before, and he gave it his all. What he tells us here in the story actually is that he did not qualify in this heat because you have to be in control as you touch the buoy at the finish line in the Teva Games.
Right.
And that's him right there. Great shot. Actually, we found out after the fact that it's actually Chase Olivieri who took this photo. I don't know. Lee Hart sent it to us, and somehow we miscommunicated that Chase actually took the photo. But Slater loved it, and the whole family was there. They were on the Trout family RV tour.
That's
and,
right.
Tanner and Slater both, the two brothers, I can only imagine what Casey and Jennifer were going through on day 28 of the Trouter, the Slater trip.
The RV trip across the country. Yes, I'm sure there will be video or a movie someday all about that.
There will be. They probably already have one, but we'll look for that. But next one up, Sarah Langdon from Pompano Beach, Florida.
Right.
And I can only say you've got to get the magazine and open this up and look at it because we're looking at it 4 inches wide, and it does not do it justice. This is a GoPro shot from the front of her board during one of the races there. There's 4 or 5 women in the photo, and they're all punching through this veil of a wave. And it's the reason this kind of photography, and if you've used a GoPro, you know that about 1,000 of those were throwaways. And one of those actually came out like this, and Sarah really scored. And again, she's never photographed for us ever before. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where the first time someone's ever sent a photo, it gets in the photo annual.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. It's just incredible. It's just one of those shots you just go, when you see it on your screen, when you're, emptying your camera out, you go, wow, I took that. Yeah, I know Sarah very well. I saw her down at the Orange Bowl the past weekend, and she's a sweet girl, great racer, lots of fun to be around.
tell her to send more photos.
I know, really awesome.
Yep. And speaking of awesome photographer who has sent a ton of photos and who is absolutely one of our top 5 all-time stand-up journal photographers, Richard Hallman.
Mm-hmm.
This photo of still life, although Dan Gavere will admit some of the life is not still, it's actually creeping along there. He's got all kinds of sludge in that van there. You know, he hasn't cleaned it out for a while. But that's Dan Gavere's van, and it's just a beautiful shot of a hardcore stand-up paddler
in
his
water.
day-to-day life. I mean, his shin guards are blown out, so he's actually duct taping them together.
I know, I love that.
Got to have the extra stability there. But
so if we need duct tape, we always can ask Dan.
It's one of the universal fabrics, duct tape. It's mandatory.
Absolutely.
Next one is a shot that actually may look a little bit like where you're from.
I know. I was going to say, is that my backyard?
It looks a little like your neck of the woods, the Florida Panhandle,
sure
but
does.
no, it's actually the other side, the Atlantic side, Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. Logan Mock Bunting took this shot actually using some fill light. It was an actual evening sunset, but the paddler's face is actually lit when you look at the actual 18 inches wide in StandUp Journal of the new issue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a backlit shot per se. It's backlit with a front fill, so it looks three-dimensional. It's just and it's so glassy you can't even. It's soapy, oily glass.
That's true. Yep, we see a lot of that in our area, and up in North Carolina, they have very similar areas like this too. So yeah, I understand that glassy, soapy, beautiful kind of water.
Yep.
Love it.
As opposed to the next photo up, Hank Photo took this shot of Garrett McNamara, who, of course, rode the biggest wave known to man a couple months ago.
Cloudbreak.
To Portugal. This is one of the biggest days in Cloudbreak in the past several years off Fiji. Garrett was doing really well. We have tons of photos. Some of the best photographers in the world were here because everyone knew the swell was coming.
Mm-hmm.
We got photos from guys that I've never gotten photos from that are just huge names in the sport of surfing primarily, and but water sports in general. Hank Photo's shot said it all, though. This one photo, this is something that we really pride ourselves on, Leslie, and that is we don't try to pick. If we get 10 really, really good shots, we have to really show the readers one or two of the very best of those 10 shots.
Mm-hmm.
We can't show them all 10, because if you show them all 10, you ruin all of them.
That's true.
In other words, the first one will look great, but when you turn the page, you go, ooh, that looks like the one I just saw. So we had to pick one shot. And we had about 48 shots that were finalists of just this one day.
Yeah.
And that was the one we chose. We had front shots, we had back shots, we had other tube shots. But this shot with the guys in the foreground on the jet ski completely said to us, this is the one shot that tells it all.
Oh, yeah.
And when you read about Garrett's wipeout, it was scary. Everything went nuts. He blacked out. He thought that was it. It was a long, long hold down, a double wave hold down.
Oh man! So, I mean, just looking at that just makes your heart start racing. You're just wondering, how that's going to end because you don't see it. So yeah, so he lived to tell the story, which is great.
Yeah.
But that's a wipeout.
And, the next wave up top, that shot taken by Jamie Scott, is of Damon Eastaugh and Courtney Gray, two of the best big wave surfers in Western Australia. Of course, they're stand-up paddling in this case, not tow-in or lay-down. What's hilarious is Damon, who's a real jokester, he was actually turning to Courtney on the right. Damon's on the left, Courtney's on the right. Mm-hmm. And Courtney is just, get me out of here. I got to get out there. This wave, the way bigger wave than the other ones that had been out that day. Damon is turning to Courtney 3 times and saying, so, of course, are you going to go or shall I? Hey, mate, you going to go or what, hey? And finally, Courtney gets over the wave, and he's going, are you mad? He goes, hey, I was just joking with you, mate. And, Courtney thought he was serious. Like, I'm not even going to consider turning around on this wave.
So,
I mean, me, I'd be just screaming and saying, "Get me out of here."
Where's the helicopter,
Yeah. The helicopter is on top of that cruise line that is on the next shot by Ben Hicks.
Yeah.
And one of your local boys, Chase Kosterlitz, of course, he's on the other end of the state from you, but in Miami. But I believe he's from Fort Lauderdale, but this is in Miami. And one thing he mentioned about this is how much current there really was in this photo. And he was getting sucked towards the ship, and he was getting a little concerned. He's smiling in the photo, but he's a little concerned about how close he got.
Oh, I bet. I can't even imagine, because when we paddle the intercoastal here and a barge comes through, we have to stay way clear. Yep. And because it'll start drawing you towards it. And so I can't even imagine being that close to a cruise ship.
Now, what Chase told me also, Leslie, is what you don't see, besides this humongous 12-story high cruise ship coming along with him, with the current and a little bit of wind in the Miami harbor, you don't see a giant freighter just outside that is waiting to come in. So Chase is paddling towards this giant freighter, and he's trying to not get sucked in towards the big ship, which, as you know, they can't turn on a dime. So
yeah, we found that out in Italy, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, they could have used a few stand-up boards on that ship, I think.
No kidding. Wow.
But that's just a thumbnail look at one slice of dozens of our huge photos in the photo annual.
Right.
And this issue wrapped up the year and takes us into the rest of winter, and then we've just come off press with our March issue, and I just got to tell you, after 4 years, Joyce and I have been talking every winter. I just say, babe, I can't do winter anymore. It's just literally everything stops. Now we get a lot of work done in New Hampshire in the middle of winter, but I'm not paddling. Joyce isn't paddling, and she does go out and run in the snow, which is crazy. She comes in with frozen hair and stuff. We finally said, you know what? We got to relocate, and the whole family was here. Mom and Dad, Peter, came out from Molokai, and my brother, Kurt, from nearby, and my sisters both live right here. And so we've all been hanging out with the whole family. Glenn Dubach, our columnist Steve West, lives here, and he's been over a lot, and we've been paddling together. And so it's just been really awesome to be back in Santa Cruz, where I grew up, and see that the sport is really, really a viable sport here. Every day, people paddle all over the place, off Capitola, off the west side of Santa Cruz. A lot of flat water paddlers, because the ocean's not always full of waves.
That's right. That's right. And that's the way I like it personally.
Yep, just cruise it. If there's no waves, we can cruise right under Opal Cliffs at Pleasure Point in Capitola area here.
Yeah.
And it's just been so beautiful. And even when it's overcast, it's still not very cold here. It rarely gets very cold in Santa Cruz. So
very
it's really
cool.
Been amazing. The winter headquarters is alive and well. The only difference is that in our house, in our office, in our home office in New Hampshire, Joyce is upstairs and I'm downstairs. So we actually have our own offices. Here we're actually working side by side, and I tell you, we survived 9.5 days driving cross country together. So we're doing pretty well working together next to each other as well.
Very good. And I'm so happy for you to be able to have like a family reunion out there and doing all the things that you enjoy most, which is paddling, and a whole new work environment, and looking forward to the 2012 season.
Well, you're going to love the next one. Actually, I got to tell you, I showed Scott Rubel, the owner of Coldwater, the SUP shop in Santa Cruz. Glenn Dubach and I went into his shop this morning, Leslie, and we handed him a super advanced copy we just got late last night from FedEx, from the printer. And so I brought it to Scott, and I said, this is the only copy we have, but take a look at it. And he went through it, and he has the winter issue we just talked about, the white issue. He has that on his stand. He's read that. He looked through the new March issue, and he said, you know what? This is even better than the photo annual.
Wow.
So the March issue, I think we've done it again. I'm just, out of Scott's words, I think it's better, but he said it too. So we're trying to keep the bar raised higher and higher every time.
Well, you always do it, Clay. You always do it. It's good to know you, and it's great to always talk with you. You have lots of good stories, and it's love hearing where you're at.
Well, thanks, and I can't wait to hear your complete Surf Expo rundown.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a blast. I mean, I had so much fun there, but I was so exhausted, but it was a good exhaustion for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you remember we were typing to each other the other day because you couldn't talk.
Yeah, I know. I'd completely lost my voice by Monday. I was like, oh, gosh. I think I've spoken a lot.
And the show was about a third, again, bigger than last year.
Yeah.
So,
pretty exciting.
amazing.
Yep, absolutely. We saw a lot of people from your neck of the woods up there that were down at the expo coming down.
There's a reason why they leave in this time of year.
Well, what was really cool, Clay, is that there are people that are starting to open up SUP shops in your area, and they're just starting, they're like, man, we really love the sport, and it's starting to really boom in up there, and people are really wanting to do it more and more, and it's growing. It's good to hear.
It's naturally growing on the coast, and I knew it would, and we all knew that, but it's really growing inland in New Hampshire and all over New England and all over the U.S. I mean, you know, Gary Stone's got his big event in July, the Midwest SUP Festival. That's coming up in July, and that's going to be a big deal this year. In fact, that might be a great place to have one of your live remote things going on.
That could be a lot of fun. I really want to get up there. I love Gary Stone. I love what he's doing up there, and need to get up there.
Well, I'll tell you, the people from Wisconsin, where I was born, when the Wisconsin people catch it, we got a buddy named Catfish Dave, who was one of our first subscribers, a Vietnam vet. He's about 68 years old. He is so into stand-up paddling. He sent me a huge amount of photos just before we left to leave to come out to California. And he is hooked beyond belief. And he goes out fishing, he paddles, he brings his camera. He's been out something like 310 days in the 2.5 years that he actually has been stand-up paddling.
Wow. Nice. Very cool. Well, Clay, time's up. It always goes by fast. We always say that, man, our time goes by fast.
Yep, that's a good thing.
It really is. Well, you have a great day. I know you're going to get out there and get some waves, so tell the family hi for me.
Okay, and everybody subscribe to StandUp Journal, and we'll deliver on time every time.
That's right. Talk to you later, Clay.
Okay, Happy New Year, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye, Clay.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to this edition of the Stand Up Paddle Radio Show. You can catch this podcast and many more at supradioshow.com. Everybody, get out there, stand up and paddle. Have a great day. Thank you.